about lighting installation. And so we teamed up with the observatory and a couple of other people and started to okay. So so over the years, people would come to me when we're sort of debating with lighting people in the lighting industry. They'd say to us, "Well, what do you guys know about lighting?" You know, despite the fact that most of us have science degrees, you were quite good at physics. And we could talk about lighting in that sense. So, and so anyway, that was our background. Then someone came to me once several years ago, or a few years ago, and said, "Well, you need to go talk to this person at Sydney University." I went, spoke to a new professor at Sydney University, and ended up doing a master's degree in illumination design. And so now I know the jargon. So I did this when Marnie decided she was going to put this conference on. I thought, well, okay, I'm going to talk, and I wanted to talk on something that I haven't looked at before, or at something I've looked at in great detail. And this is probably, I think, crime and lighting is probably one of the most contentious issues in the lighting industry today. And it's one thing where a lot of people from the industry, and even members of the public go, well, you know, if you turn the lights off, there'll be crime. And people from maybe the dark side of lighting would say, well, if you turn the lights on, people see what they want to do, and do crime. And maybe just a little bit of anecdotal evidence from the very early days of Solus was someone told us, in fact, from the Department of Education, that from a school that had been more or less closed down in Sydney, had a huge vandalism problem. And when they turned the lights off, vandalism problem went away. So it was sort of my first introduction to this concept of crime and lighting. So I'm afraid I got no pretty astronomy pictures, and I got no pictures of illuminations, pretty much all data. So about a year ago, in fact, last year, there were two studies that came out by Rice University in the United States. They got a lot of exposure. And the lighting industry typically took these studies and said stuff like, well, these studies show that more lighting actually sort of moves crime around. In fact, that's probably not well quoted how I'm interpreting the studies, or it's certainly not was in the executive summaries. So anyway, let's move on. So basically, I worked. Really, there's no correlation. So what I've done is I've taken crime data from New South Wales and basically by like, and then try and match that up with radiance data from nighttime satellite series that's been active for a few years. It's not really a great way to do this, but at least it's a way of trying to put numbers on what's happening. Okay, so if you look at the international scene, crime's pretty much been stable for a very long time. In fact, in some cases, in a lot of places, crime levels have been decreasing. At the same time, though, total levels of Ellen have been decreasing. Okay, there's an opportunity for the amateur criminologist here. So I'm not sure I'm going to take it up, but you know. And hopefully when you go away from here, you'll have some ideas of the issues around crime and lighting, and you might even know where the data is, and you can go and research it yourself. Okay, so the first one of these studies by Rice University was called Strict. Well, I know this is being recorded, but neighbourhoods with majority black and majority Hispanic populations have higher concentrations of streetlights than the majority of white neighbourhoods. I don't actually know what this really means. and I might say it's pretty typical, or maybe it's typical in American studies. But they looked at, and this is where looking at large scale of these lighting installations gets a little bit tricky. So they looked at density of streetlights, and so a couple of things on density of streetlights was obviously what they found. You know, they were in these neighbourhoods where there's an ethnic orientation. That can be anything in reality. And also down here at the bottom, so down here at the bottom, they say areas with extremely low levels of street lights along the edges of the city in all directions. Well, that's pretty true of anywhere where you might live. I live in a regional town called Armadale, and without a doubt, it's exactly the same in Armadale. You know, they don't put all these street lights out on the edge of town because they're simply not needed. But this was an interesting study, and they make the point about other studies. So a similar and small positive relationship between poverty and streetlights in neighbourhoods. Higher property rates also have more streetlights, but this probably just means this has got something to do with the location of where people have to live rather than choice. So anyway, they moved on from there to a second study. What happens in the shadows, streetlights, and how they relate to crime. And they say, you know, crime rates in Houston would be remarkably stable. Crimes against property are far more common than crimes against persons. Crime rates vary geographically. I mean, a lot of this is really motherhood type statements. Crime rates are actually often higher in areas where there are higher streetlight densities. And the takeaway really comes down to this. And given the complicated relationship between streetlights and crime, so you should not expect a direct impact of the additional streetlight and reductions in crime. And when this was, the exposure this got in, say, the lighting industry magazines was pretty much exactly the opposite, which was curious to say the least. And then recently I found this one. This was more of a panel paper from a conference. And this pretty much found exactly the same. And I have to, I won't say that this is cherry picked to a degree, but these are the recent studies, that's all I can say. And I'm not aware of any studies that go in the opposite direction. Okay, so when you start, you try to do this sort of stuff. And so all the crime data in New South Wales is Bureau of Crime Statistics and Research, oxa.newsouthwales.gov.au, and you can go there and play with the data or download it and play with it as much as you like. So basically I went, well, okay, and there's about 23 different types of crime that they record. And so there's crime type, the location, and so my objective was to look for a trend, and typically look for a trend of ratio in like today for all crimes, because they actually record that. And so I thought that was a good starting place. Okay, so what do we got? So here are the types of crime, 19 classes of crime. Criteria that I was going to look for was how. And over a 10-year trend, the data I collected, which was available, was 2007 to 2017. So, okay, so what did I select? Well, obviously, we go back. There are quite a few crimes here which probably aren't really going to be affected by lighting. Crimes like homicide actually excluded homicide, because homicide tends to be by people who know each other rather than particularly random. And extortion. So I didn't think there was much point. So I selected these ones: arson, assault, disorderly conduct, drug offences, harassment and nuisance, malicious damage, offences against the person, prostitution, robbery, sexual neglect. The other point I should make here is I don't really know exactly how crimes fit into each of these categories. And in fact, no one that turned up. Okay. So anyway, so I was looking at a rate. And so basically what I did was I took the crime data and by crime type, by crime location, basically modelled it and took a line through it. And so what we have here is a rate is the gradient of the width of the line, looking for what was the highest rate in crime occurring basically. And then for maybe about the top 10, I took what percentage these crimes were occurring. And so you can see drug offences are pretty popular. Sexual offences are pretty popular. Arson, robbery. Okay. So I don't know. So it's up to someone else to suggest what the relationship between weighting those might be. So then I started looking at locations, looking at which locations have the largest number of crime types. And Warren Bundles actually gets a Guernsey then for some reason. It's not, trust me, it's not the number. Okay, so we're the highest rates in locations. This is what I find it interesting, right? Because liquor crimes in Boston, my guess for that would probably be its DUI offences. But I'm only guessing, right? Okay. So then I start looking at the radians. And this data is from the Suwannee satellite, which was launched back in about 2000 and something. 2007. Sorry, there's a mistake. This is not 2007, this would be 2014, sorry. Okay, so this is basically Blacktown, which was in the southern area of Sydney, which was one of the higher areas of crime, according to the rates. And we can't quite see this. Down here, this is the median, this is the radians value from the satellite. This is years 2014, 2017, so you can see there's been an increase in the rate. This is actually but you can see, just looking at these, there's obviously been an increase in the elimination level. And so we know there was a fair bit of crime happening in that South Sydney because they came up into the table. So I think was Warren Bundles, and I don't know, is there anyone from Santos?
Tomorrow.
No, tomorrow. It took me ages to figure out what was going on here, right? Because you so this is good Darwin, and you can see what's the whole of Warren Bundles, and you can see again here, sorry, it's not clear enough. You see this is like the maximum in the peak in 2014, and this is how the radians has gone over Warren Bundles area over the last few years. So that's a bit sad in some respects. So we actually not increasing radians. Okay, so there are lots of confounding factors here. Social advantage, even incarceration rates. There's a lot of countries trying to like a zero. Population dynamics, household stress factors, and financial advantage are all things that are problems. Okay. There's a Chinese space agency has launched a satellite called Luo-GR1. It's a CubeSat. This is Sydney in June, okay, and you can see here, you see these two big spikes. This is the Olympic Park, this is the airport, this is Port Botany. This is runways out shore or somewhere like that. This resolution is 130 metres. Suomi is 700 metre resolution. So this is going to be really good. And the flyover time is 9:30 p.m. The flyover time to Suomi is like 1:30 in the morning. So you actually miss a lot of the stuff going on in the city at night. By the way, this is Sydney. This is Sydney right here somewhere. So I'm going to be really keen to talk to Sanjay and find out where his sporting fields are, because I'm really keen. So really quickly, Europe is going down a path which is sort of to how humans relate to night, how they relate to darkness. And so they're looking at urban trends, the relationship between night and dark, and literature, how night and darkness appear in literature. So at some of the other Allen conferences have had speakers on film noir and how people relate film noir to themselves and to night. And someone I was talking to yesterday, here's a great book of defining like vision and society. And just, no, sorry, so he's just a little representative of how nighttime can be done differently. Okay, so again, here's the takeaway. So questions, and if you really want to do something about crime, just stop and listen to mobile crime detail.
I've got one. Reg Wilson used to talk about a body called SEPTA, which was I can't remember what the acronym stood for, but it was a committee looking at exactly this, how crime and illumination relates to one another.
Yeah,
I should check that out.
Yeah. I think I gave him a heart attack when I told him that I had a degree in organization design.
That's right.
It's still alive.
You've just got to stop falling off roofs. That's fine. Any more questions? Any more questions? You've illuminated us all.
Okay.
So thank you very much.